You're back in session, busy, and a lot going on.
Absolutely. The lame duck session ought to prove very newsworthy.
I bet, no kidding, when you consider what is going on. And word is that President Obama has convinced the Attorney General, Eric Holder, to stay on for a second term. This despite the fact that he was already hinting that he was looking at leaving. Were you surprised to hear this?
I was stunned. You know, the president said that he wanted to mend relationships with Congress, reach across the aisle, and get something done. And instead, he all but begged somebody, Congress, on a bipartisan vote, has held in contempt of Congress.
Holder himself was saying, he was really thinking about it, trying to figure out whether he could contribute to a second term. And you'll look at the mess he's in already again with this whole Petraeus affair. People want to know, why didn't you tell the president? They talk about protocol. Well, this is the head of the CIA, and he's right back where he was when you look what happened with Fast and Furious.
Well, this is a huge failure. It's either a failure on the part of the Justice Department and Holder for not telling the president, or if he did tell the president, it's a huge failure on the president's part for not doing something about it sooner. There's no win in this scenario.
And as you pointed out, when you look at the members of Congress and so many other people who are calling for Holder to resign, can you think of any reason that he'd want to stay behind himself?
It makes no sense to me, other than the president twisted his arm. I mean, that's all I can figure.
And you look at the fact, too, and let's look at some of the things coming down. You and your committee, they still have to release the third report in your investigation into Operation Fast and Furious.
And we're getting little or no cooperation from the White House, just like the Inspector General got little or no cooperation from the White House. I don't know how we're going to get more information on this, and it may be just the report comes out and chronicles what we don't know and would like to do. But, my hope is that much like President Clinton in his second term, President Obama comes to the middle and we're able to get some things done. But what you've heard hinted and what you see happening with things like Holder staying on, and some of the things the president has said, talking about revenge, his open mic comment, I'll have more flexibility after the election, all of those hint to the fact he's going to move further to the left. And I can't imagine a country more divided than we were before this election, and the election held it out. The president claims, we got a victory and a mandate. Well, the House Republican majority stayed intact, too. We've got a mandate as well.
Yeah. And when you look at the White House claiming that Obama didn't learn about the Petraeus affair until after the election, I mean, that raises all kinds of questions about whether they actually suppressed this because of the election and they didn't want it to taint his chances of winning.
Well, when I heard that, as a Texan, I looked around to make sure I hadn't stepped in something out in the pasture.
That's a nice way of saying it. I'll have to remember that. But I mean, even if he does ask Holder to stay, what if the pressure continues, to say, we got to get rid of this guy? Is that going to make any difference to this president, do you think?
He has a history of not giving a darn what we think up here on Capitol Hill. You saw it time and time again in the last session. It is my sincere hope in prayer that changes, because there are a lot of things that need to happen and we need to move forward with in this country. And I think we've indicated a willingness to work on it. I go back to what Ronald Reagan says: you can compromise on policies, but you can't compromise on principles. I think we're willing to work with the president to come up with some meaningful tax reform. I think it's clear both parties are committed to making sure we don't go off the financial cliff. And this is the president's opportunity to mend this country. Mm-hmm. And we're looking for some leadership.
Yeah, but there's still some problems. And where do you think we are when it comes to Fast and Furious? I know you guys just got back. Any indication when that third report, when Congressman Issa might release that third report?
Well, the second report actually came out a little later than I was suspecting it was going to come out. I'm looking forward to visiting with Darrell on the House floor. We have no votes we had no votes today, but we'll be spending some time in conference. I plan on getting thoroughly briefed on what's happening. It would be my desire that we hold off on it long enough to make sure we've exhausted all our avenues for getting information as to what happened at the highest level.
And one of those avenues is that lawsuit. DOJ is still waiting to hear what the federal court's going to do on its request to dismiss the lawsuit, by Congressman Issa, forcing Holder and the DOJ to turn those documents over.
Yeah, and the fact that they're asking that lawsuit be dismissed is unprecedented. There's a long history of our judicial system determining conflicts between the two branches of government. I don't see this as a political question. I see this as an obligation of one branch of government to cooperate in the other branch of government with their legitimate oversight functions.
Yeah, but when you look at Benghazi and you look at the Petraeus affair, and you look at, the pressure already being put on Holder on what he knew and what he didn't know and who he told and who he didn't tell. We are not off to a good start, are we?
No, and my hope is that the Fourth Estate, the media, which does not like being misled and lied to, which they were in the case of Benghazi, do what they should have done 5 years ago before Obama's first election, and hold him accountable and not take every word he says as gospel.